Am I the jerk for telling my mother-in-law that if she wants to be as involved as my mom, she has to be helpful? My wife and 2 out of 3 of our children have the same autoimmune condition. My wife caught an infection that not only lasted a long time due to her being immunocompromised, but also caused her first flare-up in 3 years. We are in the process of getting our youngest diagnosed, so the only medication she is on at the moment is anti-nausea medication, so she can keep some food down. Needless to say, they are both in pain all the time. My wife is still working but with reduced hours. Even though her hours are cut in half, she does not have the energy to do much around the house, help with the kids, cook, and so on. I have been doing mostly everything on my own. A couple of weeks ago, my mom started showing up 2 to 3 times a week to make us dinner, do some laundry, get the healthy kids out of the house, or give me a break. She had our older 2 at her house all day baking and making forts so my wife and I could pick up a little and meal prep for the week. My mother-in-law lives close enough that she can help out, but we did not let her nearly as much as my mom. She has gotten really into natural healing, and we do not trust her to give our middle child their medication if she takes the kids for the day. We do not want her helping around the house because she comments on anything and everything, and how not doing it her way is only making everyone sicker. My father-in-law just called my wife the other day to tell her that if she worked out 3 days a week and went on the carnivore diet, she would be cured. My mom posted some pictures of the older 2 on her Facebook, and my mother-in-law commented that she was jealous and that she never gets to help with the kids. I texted her, mentioned that I saw her comment, and told her that she knows the reason she does not get to be as involved is because she cannot be trusted to give the kids their medications and feels the need to comment on everything and make her visits stressful for my wife. She said that she still deserves to be just as involved in their lives, so I told her that if she wants to be as involved, she has to be helpful. She decided to make her own post about how she has not seen her grandkids since the 4th of July, even though she only lives 10 minutes away, because we want to punish her for her beliefs. My wife has been asleep for the past few hours, so she does not know about any of this yet, but I am worried that I have added one more thing to her plate. Am I the antagonist for confronting my mother-in-law over her comment on my mom's Facebook? You did nothing to be ashamed of. Your mother-in-law should naturally want to help out since she should be familiar with your wife and children's autoimmune disease, but it seems like she might have ignored your wife's symptoms in the past. If she wants to be a grandma instead of a professional pity party thrower, she needs to abide by your rules and respect your family's diagnoses and choices. She's entitled to her beliefs, but not at the cost of your wife's stress levels or your children's well-being. Am I the jerk for buying new pans and not wanting my roommates to use them? So I, a 25-year-old female, live with 2 roommates. Lucy, a 23-year-old female, and Charlotte, a 27-year-old female. For some backstory, I have been living with Charlotte for 4 years now, and Lucy moved in a couple of months ago when our previous roommate moved out to study in another country. I really like to cook, and I have a way of how I want things to be done in the kitchen. However, because I live with 2 other people, I know I can't have a my way or the highway mindset, so I compromise on things for the sake of a harmonious household. The only thing I ask of my roommates is to take good care of the pans we have. We bought those pans 5 months ago. By good care, I mean not putting them in the dishwasher and not cutting straight on the pan, which I think is a reasonable thing to ask. The pans we have are from IKEA, and they have a non-stick coating, which is why they shouldn't be put in the dishwasher. The previous pans also got destroyed because they were put in the dishwasher, and people were cutting on the pan, causing the coating to start peeling off, possibly because they were older pans. When we got new pans, I asked them to please take good care of them, and they did, which I appreciated. A month ago, I left home for summer holidays and stayed there for a bit more than a month. This is where the issue starts. I came back, and the pans were in the dishwasher and had a bunch of tiny cuts on all of them. We have 3 pans. This irritated me because, since I like to cook a lot, I want the utensils I use to be in good condition, and in 1 month, they damaged the pans a lot. I brought up this issue to them, and they said that they didn't mind the state of the pans, but if I wanted to, we could buy new ones together. I don't want to buy shared pans again for them to end up like this again. So, I bought new pans that are slightly more expensive and made of stainless steel on my own. Stainless steel pans need to be properly used and taken care of. I told them I bought new pans, but I don't want them to use them because I don't trust they will take proper care of them. When Charlotte and my previous roommate used to clean the pans by hand, I sometimes had to clean them again because there was just too much grease left on them. When I told them, Lucy understood my point of view but was a bit weirded out by it, but she moved on. On the other hand, Charlotte didn't understand, and an argument broke out. She called me selfish and was mad at me. She said to me, "So you're going to let us use the damaged ones and keep the new good one to yourself? We could have bought new ones together." I said no because I also wanted better pans. Charlotte doesn't like to cook and just makes low-effort meals, which is fine, but I love cooking. She is still mad at me and makes snarky comments every time I cook. So, am I the a-hole for not wanting them to use the pan? Am I being too strict about this? Because now the atmosphere of the apartment is just very tense, and I can't help but feel like it's my fault. You are not in the wrong. You don't have to share your personal items with your roommates, especially if they've already destroyed the ones you provided. Lock your new pans in your room or keep them in a Rubbermaid tub in your closet to prevent unauthorized use. If they want new pans, they can buy their own set or head to Goodwill. Am I the jerk for telling off someone else's kids? I am a 27-year-old female, and my husband is a 34-year-old male. We have a 1-year-old son. Today I tried to find a nice place to go out with our son and chose a little beach river with a picnic area and playground. When we arrived, it was very crowded with families and kids playing in the water. I took my son to the calmest side of the park, right in front of the lifeguards. Nearby was a group of kids, ranging from around 6 to 13 years old, playing together. No parents were in sight. My son and I were in the shallows when these kids started getting rough with each other. They went from throwing sand to fighting with fists. Over the next half hour, we moved further away from these kids, but they seemed to gravitate towards us. We took my son out of the water and played in the sand. The oldest of these kids started unclipping the younger one's floaties and trying to hold him underwater. This caused a fight between the kids, which moved right next to us. They were fighting, kicking, and almost hit my son with their kicks. Again, no adults were around. I told them, if you hit my baby, you'll be in some serious trouble. The oldest girl, who looked around 13 or 14, began saying I was not allowed to talk to them. I replied that I was simply telling them not to hit my baby. She kept yelling, then ran out of the park behind some trees and came back with her parents, both of whom were carrying beers and had clearly been drinking. They accused me of yelling at their daughter, which I did not do. My husband explained that their kids were fighting and almost hitting our baby. They then mentioned that only the girl was theirs and the other kids were their autistic cousins. I responded that it was fine, but they could not almost hit a baby because they were fighting. The parents continued to argue, and I even told the girl, "I'm sorry you felt like I yelled at you. I didn't yell, but I'm sorry you thought that." They kept arguing. Our stance remained that their kids should not almost hit ours. Their stance was that we should have talked to the parents, who were not in the park. We decided to leave, but the parents and the 13-year-old continued yelling. The girl made obscene gestures while they all yelled. They followed us out of the park and up the road, calling me offensive names and accusing me of being discriminatory. This was not my reasoning, especially as my husband is Hispanic. They only took issue with me because I told the kids they would be in trouble. Maybe I should not have told off another person's kid, but we moved away from these kids many times, and they still almost hit my 1-year-old repeatedly. Feel free to give your opinions. I am genuinely asking, am I the asshole? Next time, just move or report it to the lifeguards instead of addressing the kids directly. It's not worth arguing with children who clearly haven't been taught better. You will never get good results from that approach. Let the staff handle it and avoid the unnecessary confrontation. Am I the jerk for going to my mother's funeral? My mother had me when she was young. She and my father split when I was a child. I look like him, which made my childhood rough. In the shortest possible terms, I carry 2 scars I cannot ignore today, one on my hand and one on my face. In my middle teens, I left home. By this time, my mother had remarried and had more children. Her husband would step in when he thought she was getting out of hand. He did not let her touch his children, however. In my early 20s, I left the family. I could not go to events without her being there, so I cut everyone off and walked away. My girlfriend, now wife, and I moved. I changed my name and left. I always dreamed of what I would say if I saw her, how I would get even, what I would like to do, and how I would do it. 8 months back, my wife got a call. It turns out my grandmother had her phone number still. I was away from home, so I got a note. "Your mother is dying. She wants to see you. Please return this call." I expected to be angry and to feel hurt again. However, I found out that after 20 years I understand what time heals all wounds meant. While I was not looking, time had ebbed away all my rage. I did not hate her anymore. In its place was just apathy. I guess rage was a younger me's need because I remember having an unhealthy attachment to it in my 20s. I thought about what to do for about a month. I decided to let silence be my answer. I did not want to see her. 2 weeks ago, my wife received a photo of the invite to the funeral. I felt like I needed to see it, just the funeral. I actually thought about asking to see her body to make sure, but upon reflection, I decided that was a step too far. I just needed to see that this was real and close that chapter. I arrived late, wore black, and stood just outside the double doors looking in. A coffin, a photo, and my sister crying. It was real, but it did not change anything. I had let my rage die. I did not need to do this. I could have gone to her grave 2 weeks from now and had the same closure. As it turns out, I have a younger brother born after I left that I had never known about. He is in his teens now, and he knew who I was. In the hall, in front of everyone, he said if I did not respect her enough to see her in life, I did not deserve to in her death. There was more said, but I cannot remember it. I just realized that no one there even knew my name. I was not a part of this family, and I did not belong. Instead of answering, I left. I think my need to see that it was over could have been better served by asking for her plot and visiting in my own time. I thought seeing the funeral would be a moment of closure, but I felt the same after as I did before I went. My wife says that my brother is just mourning, and I had every right to go. I think that a right to go does not make for a reason to go, and that my being there was an unnecessary issue for those to whom she was actually family. It's surprising how some people can't set aside personal issues on days like funerals or weddings. You handled things appropriately. After all, you had every right to be there for closure. It might not have felt like closure immediately, but it was important for moving forward. Maybe consider seeing a therapist to address any lingering doubts and fully put this period behind you. Am I the jerk for not letting my neighbor pet my puppy? I have a 6-month-old golden mix puppy. He is incredibly sweet and loves dogs and people, but he is often difficult on the leash. He gets distracted easily and sometimes just will not walk. He is in training classes and doing well, but he is still a baby and learning. I live in an apartment building. There are often people around the outside of the building walking or taking their dogs out. I took him out tonight to potty before bed, and he was being particularly difficult. I could tell he had to poop by the way he was acting, but he also would not move. He spotted a man and his Labrador coming towards us. My puppy was alternating between not walking and pulling me on the leash. I was getting tired and frustrated. The man came up to us and asked if the Labrador could say hi. I said, "I'm sorry, but no, he's in training and being a little difficult today." The man said okay and walked away. I finally got my puppy to start heading back towards the main doors, but really wanted him to poop before going in. I saw the man and his Labrador standing in front of the main door. The dogs were locking eyes, and he was letting his Labrador come near us. I sort of pulled my puppy in another direction and got him to go towards the area he usually poops. The man and his Labrador walked by us anyway. My puppy was freaking out because he wanted to play with the Labrador, but it was almost 10 p.m., and I knew he needed to just poop and go to bed. I was thinking, dude, can't you see I'm struggling? Please walk away with your well-trained adult Labrador. But instead, he came closer with the Labrador. My dog started freaking out, so I said, "I'm sorry, I just really need him to go to the bathroom, and he's very easily distracted." The man reached out his hand to pet my dog, and I said, "I'm sorry, he's in training. I don't want him to get distracted with people touching him." The man went to pet him again and said, "How old?" I said, 6 months. He said, "Oh, just a baby." At this point, my dog was freaking out with excitement, and I was just frustrated. I pulled him closer and said, "I really don't want anyone touching him right now." The man scoffed and walked away. Of course, my dog pooped immediately afterward. It was awkward because he must live in my building. I feel uncomfortable because I think I was rude, but also do not know why he was not taking no for an answer. I am pregnant and very moody, so I just feel bad. TL dog door. Neighbor repeatedly approached me and my puppy after I said no. Nothing you have done here makes me think you are the jerk. It's your dog and your rules. Normal people do not proceed when they've been told no to their request. He should have listened the first time instead of still petting him despite being asked to leave. Respect other people's animals, or he might end up getting bitten by a scared or aggressive pup. Am I the jerk for spending time with my friend instead of my boyfriend? I have a much stricter schedule than my boyfriend. Most days I attend university around 9:00 a.m. or 12:00 p.m. Join study cycles, go to the library, and then complete daily tasks and hand-ins when I get home. I usually become free to do whatever I want around 7:00 p.m. after dinner. Then I have around 3 hours before I go to bed around 10:00 p.m. and get up early the next morning. My boyfriend does not attend university or work. He sits at home all day and plays video games. I support him in his search for a meaningful job that he enjoys, and due to depression, he has been a bit behind at this. This does not matter to me. I love him and am confident he will find something eventually. I do feel he is lacking motivation, but I cannot fault him for that as he has depression. However, this is affecting the amount of time we spend together as he frequently stays up until I get up, and that's when he goes to bed. He wakes up around 4:00 p.m. and at that time, we only have the hours I have free before bed. Recently, I have been enjoying spending time with my friend, which usually falls into that same time slot. I have started inviting both my boyfriend and friend to hang out, and we have been regularly doing that. Due to my introversion, I want to continue only spending time one-on-one. I also don't want to become the person who brings their partner to every hangout session. Most nights I welcome my boyfriend, but some nights, I want to hang out with my friend alone. Today was one of those nights where I said I did not want to hang out in a group setting. He said okay. Then, when I was about to go to bed, he requested to hang out, which I denied. I apologized for being in a one-person mood today. He said, so that person couldn't have been me, just for a little while. Once again, he said I was prioritizing my friend over him. This is the only point where both my friend and I are available, not due to choice but due to obligations. I feel it's only right that we hang out during this time. If my boyfriend wished to spend time with me, he would go to bed earlier and wake up earlier, and he and I could hang out alone in the early hours of the day. Nothing is making him stay up until 8:00 a.m. by himself playing video games. He has said multiple times that he wants to reset his sleep cycle and is trying to, yet I see him playing games until early morning every single day. He says that I am not prioritizing him. There have been many times where I've stayed up longer than I should to play with him to make up for his poor sleep schedule. This has led me to be very drowsy in university the next day. I feel it is unfair to have to make adjustments in my cramped schedule. If he got up at a more normal time, around maybe 9:00 a.m., we could easily spend hours together. I don't understand why I have to compromise time with my friend when he is not willing to compromise his messed up sleep schedule. It feels unfair to me. Am I the bad person? You did nothing to deserve criticism, but it's important to recognize that you're enabling him to live a depressed life and that attachment issues might be playing a part. You're in college and not living together, so he can't demand you change your schedule for him. From one introvert to another, it's crucial to surround yourself with a supportive group of people. It sounds like your boyfriend is dragging you down and holding you back, and maybe it's time to reassess the relationship. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.